Hello, good evening. Welcome to another Power Hour. My name is Monica Sikora, and joining me today is my fantastic colleague and our great nutritionist, Isha Patel.
Thank you for having me. I hope you're well.
Thank you. I am ready for the round, I don't even know, round 4 of the gut bacteria talk.
So many of these. Probably like the 4th or 5th one.
I think we're definitely fans. Definitely say that. So, Isha, today we're going to talk about gut bacteria and a very specific subject. So, we're going to tackle the weight loss. I want us to look at how something that's not obvious to many people, and I think not very often really talked about by other practitioners when it comes to the various different reasons why people struggle with weight loss and why they put on weight with seemingly little change to their eating habits. And I wonder if we can iron out some of the misconceptions and things about how gut bacteria can help or harm your weight loss.
Absolutely. I think this is, like you said, lots of people don't know about it, but gut health, along with everything else it's good for, is really good for regulating metabolism and altering our weight status.
Amazing. Can we just start with, what is that connection? What bacteria actually can hinder or promote weight loss for us?
Absolutely. I've got a study to mention, so I'll be looking down at notes just because the pronunciation of these bacteria are very hard. So I'll be looking down at notes just so you're aware. But just moving on to the topic, there is certain bacteria that are correlated with elevated levels of fat and weight gain, and certain bacteria that actually promote having a lean body mass and reduce adipose tissue and the way it's metabolized through food. So there were studies done particularly on mice, and they found that they had 2 groups. They were giving one group lots of unhealthy food and one group healthy food. The healthier mice had a normal immune system, their metabolism was regulated, but also in their gut microbiome, they found they had higher amounts of Clostridia and lower amounts of Desflorbivio.
Right.
So that's the negative bacteria that promotes the weight gain, because that absorbs more fat from the foods we consume. The unhealthy mice, they had altered immune systems, their metabolism was all over the place, and they had lower amounts of Clostridia and the higher amounts of the negative bacteria. And they also showed signs not only of higher weight gain and fat in their body, but also existing signs of type 2 diabetes, because their insulin receptors were all over the place, glycogen storages were impaired as well. So just purely from the food they were eating.
Wow. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, so I'm gathering that the bacteria had a direct impact on the hormones. Is that correct?
That's correct. Not only just the hormones, but the metabolism, so the way foods are processed, their digestion, and the effect that they have on our adipose tissues that we already have in our body, which is quite interesting.
And I guess it might be a little bit of a tricky question, but are some people more at risk than others when it comes to the gut bacteria imbalance? Or is it purely environmental and based on how we eat, what we eat, and other environmental factors? Are there any genetics that we can't really influence and that kind of impacts our gut bacteria levels?
Sometimes genetics is involved, but mostly is what we're putting into our body, our physical activity status, our stress levels, the environmental toxins that we're influenced and surrounded by. So it's a whole umbrella of things that can affect our microbiome, which can do lots of things in our body.
Incredible. And I guess I don't think that the study went this far, but if we were to change their diet and swap them around almost, would we expect to see the exact opposite and the reversion of the symptoms, or is it a little bit more complicated once we go down the rabbit hole?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I should look up on these studies and follow-ups, but I don't know if they have altered it. But we know from, clients that we've seen in clinic, that if they have had a diet where they eat a lot of high fats, they've got a certain dysbiosis in their gut microbiome. If we're resetting that, we are actually biohacking their metabolism and fixing little chemical reactions in the body. So we have seen it in clinic that you almost can reverse the microbiome just by altering small changes and a lifestyle change effectively.
So if we were to come back to our food, because that seems to be clearly the culprit here, what are the foods that are particularly harmful and the ones that are most importantly promoting the bad bacteria overgrowth?
It's your standard processed meats, fried food, food high in sugar. You're feeding the bacteria that thrive on these, and these are the ones that really cause the wreck in your body, the havoc. They feed into your bad adipose tissue. They slow down metabolism. They also cause inflammation. Inflammation is a key in weight gain, and many studies have shown this. So that's the reason why inflammation causes weight gain. It actually interferes with brain signals to certain hormones. One particular one is leptin. This is our hormone that tells our body to perform. If you've got a high state of inflammation, your brain doesn't receive the signal that you're full because the hormone is not released and addressed. So you're going to carry on eating. Your appetite's getting bigger, and it's just that kind of like circle that goes around because there's no non-stop. So that's one big reason.
And outside the foods, what other factors can influence the inflammation levels? I imagine there might be some forms of sickness or surgeries or procedures that we're going through. But can simple things like going through stressful times alter the inflammation levels?
Absolutely. So yeah, you said it. Stress is a big thing. Stress releases something called cortisol, which has a negative effect because, again, it increases inflammation, but it also increases our adipose tissue. And if you've got high level of stress, you're going to gain weight around your abdomen and hip area. I don't know why, but that is just one of the things it feeds into. We've got more fat storage there, so it kind of feeds into there. It's a natural safe zone because your body goes almost into a flight or fight situation. But other things include surgeries, antibiotics, steroid medication, and just bad lifestyle practice.
Just that unhealthy lifestyle overall.
Yeah, physical activity is another one.
And if we were to start with tackling the diet, what would be some of the foods that we definitely want to include in order to lower the inflammation levels and then obviously increase the good bacteria in our gut?
Yes. So you're going to try and eat anti-inflammatory foods. These predominantly consist of high omega-3 foods, so lots of fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, tuna, sardines. You want to have lots of seeds and nuts, so chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, sunflower seeds, and then nuts like Brazil nuts, walnuts, almonds, cashews. They're all great. Try and cook in avocado oil as much as possible. Canola oil is another one. Try and eat avocados and lots of dark green leafy vegetables. So they are great in detoxifying your liver, but also reducing inflammation. And then try and use as many herbs and spices as possible because it promotes digestion, but also certain herbs are anti-inflammatory, such as turmeric and ginger. So they're good.
And I guess the other side of it, and I'm trying to just think of the correlation, which way we're going to really form this question. Are the micronutrients partially, or the deficiencies in micronutrients, partially responsible for altered bacteria levels, or can altered bacteria levels cause the micronutrient deficiencies?
So actually, it's your diet. So a lack of minerals and vitamins can cause dysbiosis in the gut. It's never that your gut is the reason why you can't eat something. Well, it can be, but that's more intolerances, not deficiencies. So it definitely depends on what you're putting into your body. If we're going to look at what bacteria promote lean body weight, there are two bacteria strains for this. So one of them is Akkermansia monocyphila.
That's exactly what I said.
Kristentella. So these two are the ones that really favour our lean body mass. They do this by feeding on the mucus of our gut lining, so they make our gut lining stronger. They strengthen the gut barrier, and they also make acetate, which is a short-chain fatty acid in our gut. These are really great for so many things. One of them is to reduce inflammation, but another thing is that it regulates body fat as well as your appetite. So these two bacteria are the ones that we really need to look after if we're looking to regulate body weight. And foods rich in this include cranberries, grapes, flax seeds, fish oils, bamboo shoots. So really focusing on that, whole healthy fat diet and increasing those leafy greens will do this for you.
Are there any foods in particular that if we were to choose the top 3 foods to include to increase those levels? I know you love questions like that, but I think it's really helpful for people if we try to take small steps and kind of do the first step in the right direction. What 3 foods do we need in our diet to get us closer to those optimal levels?
So, one of the kind of keys is to include at least 30 grams of fiber in your daily diet, mostly from plant-based foods. If you're going to do this, try and eat the rainbow. So if I was to kind of give you examples, red foods would be apples, cherries, cranberries. They have their anti-inflammatory properties. Then yellows and oranges and greens are antioxidants, and they feed the good gut bacteria. They reduce your blood sugar to provoke the kind of spikes. And your blue and purple are beneficial for the gut bacteria. So really, trying eating the rainbow will have lots of effects on the body itself.
Not Skittles, guys, before you start asking. Not Skittles, the natural rainbow.
Yeah, but I try to say to my clients, have a theme, like if you do like one colour a day, in a week, in a month, you can really diversify your diet. You'll be shocked if you just keep a grid and kind of make a note of what you're adding. One new vegetable a day, that's going to have a huge impact on your gut diversity.
And Isha, is it worth checking the gut bacteria level? So when we maybe we've gone through a few diets or we're kind of just struggling with the weight loss and the so-called classic ways of getting into it don't quite seem to be getting the effects that we want from them. Is it worth to check the gut bacteria levels, or is it always just a question of you improve the food and it follows?
I always say it's a good idea to get tested, just because then we know the levels of bacteria and you can work on targeted goals. So if it's for weight loss, you are looking at targeted bacteria strains and how to improve them alongside improving your treatment. So we're looking at boosting the metabolism, but also what foods can we add to boost that, as well as increase the levels of the bacteria you need for the hormone regulation and everything else that follows. Some people aren't very willing to pay the price. It's a really good investment, just because one small piece of data can do so much for your health, not just your weight gain, but energy levels, your performance in activity and in exercise increases. So it's really, really excellent. Just while I am on the topic of exercise, I just thought I'd mention that there are certain bacteria that increase just by doing exercise, particularly aerobic exercise. If you're going to do your running, jogging, swimming, walking, you are increasing your heart rate, and this increases the amount of bifidobacteria, fecal bacteria, and your Akkermansia, which we mentioned before, regulating the appetite and body fat storage.
So can we link it to those lean bodies of our cardio-based athletes?
Yeah, if you were to look at your stool test of an athlete, we've found actually in clinic, in studies, that they have these bacteria levels where your average overweight person wouldn't have. So if you look at an athlete's diet, their activity levels and what they're putting into their body, it's a lot more diverse and healthy, and their guts show it, and so do their body.
And I guess, Isha, if we were to do the test and if we found out that the levels are really off and clearly there's a lot of changes we need to do on the dietary level, but is there a benefit of supplementation with the correct strains of the probiotics, or is it something that is not really worth doing and we always stick into the diet alone?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Akkermansia and certain strains of these bacteria are mainly found in food sources, but probiotics would just promote the diversity that some people can't always get through diet because you have to eat a certain amount, and due to lifestyle, they're unable to. But in that case, probiotics would be good. And when we're looking at the supplementation for vitamin and mineral deficiencies for weight loss, I guess it goes against, like looking at your blood levels and your symptoms of that, and then we can supplement as necessary. I've heard IVs are actually really great for this as well, alongside supplements. So IVs are quicker and they're absorbed more efficiently, whereas supplements and medicine can take some time. Our stomach acid can actually ruin this, and the bloodstream, it takes longer to get absorbed. So IV could be beneficial for these people.
That's really interesting. I think we're going to have our new colleague very soon with us on one of the power hours. So it'll be very interesting. She will be talking to us a little bit more about the IVs and the nutrients and the benefits of the IVs. That would be great to kind of wrap it under the same umbrella of what we talk about. Absolutely. But I guess the fundamentals of all the changes are always the long-term changes and the sustainable changes, which are change the diet and change the lifestyle. If these are the environmental factors that are causing discrepancies in those gut bacteria numbers, then we have to look at it, because unfortunately, unless you want to carry on supplementing, whether that's through IV or pills or any other products, we will always kind of play catch up with the rest of the nutrients that we're putting in our body. And that has to come as a first step to real sustainable change.
Yeah, I mean, nutritionists and functional medicine practitioners have always believed food is medicine, food heals, supplements and kind of drugs don't. And only now the NHS is recognising that, so they've kind of made that as a statement for diabetes, that food is medicine and you can almost reverse the diabetes. That's huge. So just by them kind of addressing that now, the healthcare system is going to change. Nutritionists are going to be looked at, in terms of looking at a whole health holistic approach. It's not just one aspect, it's everything that helps with conditions, even including weight loss and weight gain.
And back to the bacteria and the weight loss, are there any other bad or good, guys? I'm sure there's plenty, but any ones that we really need to look out for? Any ones that are particularly, either promoting or stopping us from losing weight?
So the one that I can't pronounce that starts with D, that's one of them. There's another one called bacteroids. That's another one. And there's a few pro-inflammatory ones. So I think Prevotella and certain, cannot remember at the top of my head, but there are a few strains. So if you were to kind of do a gut test, a nutritionist like myself can always have a look at them, and then we can make a plan that's sustainable and achievable for the individual based on their needs. But there's definitely quite a few nasty ones that promote weight gain and they hinder us from losing the weight.
And I think the one thing that I would say, which I'm gathering from everything that you're saying, is please don't try to self-diagnose and self-medicate, as it does, obviously, it does make a huge difference. When you have someone, what levels are optimal. And you can probably, at the very best, waste a lot of money on supplements that simply are not suitable for you. At the very worst, probably make the matters worse and promote the wrong trends.
Sometimes some people take so many, like hundreds of pounds worth of them, and they don't need them. So it's always best to consult someone before you're doing this. Nutritionists are great for that.
Absolutely. Isha, is there any other aspects of the gut health and the weight loss that we need to cover from the gut health perspective?
As a basic, just to start people thinking this is enough, so try and reduce your inflammation, manage the stress, include and increase your aerobic exercise as much as possible, and really diversify your diet. So eat the rainbow and include at least 30 grams of fiber a day in your diet. That's from plant-based foods.
And I think it's very important for anyone who's on any long-term medication and struggles with weight loss, which is a lot of clients that we see every day in the clinics. I think having the gut bacteria levels assessed would be a fantastic way to start for yourselves, because every medication naturally, beneficial for your condition has some form of a side effect, and it alters the gut bacteria levels to a certain extent. So it's important that if we're especially struggling with the weight loss and it seems like we're doing everything, we're trying everything, and things still don't go anywhere, that we look a little bit further than just limiting the amount of food that you're eating, because that might not be as simple as that.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And those who are wanting to get their stool test done, I'm happy to offer and guide you to a website, which there's a surprising for you, but I won't say until people contact me. And then I'm happy to analyse that for you as well. So anyone who's interested should definitely get in touch for their health conditions or even weight loss.
Well, guys, if you have any questions or you would like to find out a little bit more about the stool test and how to reach out for the proper assessment, please reach out to us directly or leave your name in the comment section below, and we will get back to you as soon as we see it. So I think that's a good place to stop.
I think so.
If you guys have any questions at all, please, again, leave them in the comment section below. And Isha, thank you once again for joining me. That was brilliant.
Thank you so much for having me.